been a while since we felt this, you know. So
I know.
Learn from it and keep going.
All right, media, thank you for joining our post-game press conference. We'll start with head coach Derek Fisher. You can now raise your hand. If this is your first time joining, click the chat icon and then the raise hand function. We'll start with Adam Grossbard, LA Daily News.
Derek, Dantas and Collier combined for 42 points tonight. Just how much did you miss NECA on the defensive end?
Yeah, I mean, there's no question we miss any of our players when they're not available, but I mean, that had nothing to do with why they scored 42 points combined. There were just things that every player on our team is capable of doing that we didn't do as well as we needed to in a lot of those situations tonight. So, you got to give Minnesota credit for, they shot the ball really well. We couldn't turn them over, which is something that we've done a good job of in recent weeks. And, so we couldn't get some of the easier points that, help you win games against good teams. And so that means you got to play against Minnesota set defense a lot if you're not turning it over, especially as well as they shot the ball. And that's just hard to do. We missed NECA, but, I think we also we made some mistakes and breakdowns that, we still have to take responsibility for regardless of who's out there.
Michelle Vopel, ESPN.
Yeah, Coach, I guess, can you give us an update in terms of, is there a time period you think NECA will be out, or do you know that at this point? And also, then if you could just maybe, talk about what this streak, though, I mean, you do have a 9-game winning streak. I know that ended, but just what that meant in terms of, what your team can accomplish despite the loss tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, NECA's day-to-day. She normally is a pretty, quick, healer and responder to, recovery and treatment, et cetera. I think, we can be cautiously optimistic about her, getting back soon. But, I think we still, we'll try to be as smart as possible to make sure, again, that when she's back, no pun intended there, when she's in the lineup again, we don't have to worry about her maybe having to step out again because we didn't handle it right the first time. And I think that one of my former coaches used to say that winning covers a multitude of sins. And when you're winning games, it kind of covers up some of the things that you aren't doing so well. And then there comes a time for all teams where even though you were winning, you weren't doing some things exactly well, but you still got the W. And then eventually it catches up. And so it's just information that you need to learn in order to get better. And that's what setbacks are. And, over the course of a 10-game stretch in any season, especially in this type of season, if you can win 9 out of 10, you're doing something right. And so we just need to regroup a little bit and mainly just get some rest. I mean, our third game in 4 nights. And, Minnesota's the younger team, and they lifted tonight. They were faster to the ball, and they were quicker to come off screens and do a lot of things. And, we just couldn't match that as much. So we'll get some rest and recovery, and hopefully we can come back and give ourselves a chance to get back on the winning side on Wednesday.
John W. Davis, Winsider.
Hey, Coach. What lesson would you like the team to learn from this defeat? You're talking about a lot of different things, but what's the lesson outside of, you want to get some rest, but got to take something away from this?
I think the biggest lesson is that, when you win or lose, right, there are, each game is an opportunity to enhance your ability to do very basic, fundamental, ordinary things in an extraordinary way, right? That's the great, extraordinary athletic achievements happen to the people and to the teams that are able to do the most basic, ordinary things at a high level. And so regardless of your opponent, right, you have to develop the level of discipline and commitment to playing the game a certain way, being able to execute offensively, closing out the right way on defense, communicating with each other if you're going to switch, like let each other know that instead of assuming that your teammate knew what you were thinking. And sometimes when you're winning and that happens, you think you can get away with that. And, when you don't get away with it, I think it helps you to realize, I need to go back to basics and do some things the right way. So I think the lesson in it for us is, one, to just understand that, there's a standard that you have to meet every night, regardless of who your opponent is. And if you don't meet it, when you're playing against other good professionals, you can lose if you don't meet that standard. And we didn't meet it tonight. And, that's what we need to understand.
Last question for Coach Chris Camello.
Hey, Coach. Obviously, tough loss. What kind of solace do you take knowing your bench, especially Raquana, kind of looked like the Raquana that we saw a few weeks back, and Taya continues to play well? Do you take any of that as just sort of a silver lining in the midst of a tough loss?
No, I mean, I don't think we're surprised that, as Raquana got back into the lineup in the last couple games and just continued to get, her game conditioning, timing back, that she would return to playing well. We're throwing a lot at Taya, and, she's played well. And so I think expectation levels continue to go up when you play well. But she's still learning a lot. She's doing a lot of great things out there for us. And, I don't think we're surprised that she continues to play well. But, for sure, we're going to need, more than just players that start or players that have a certain, last name to play well in order to win. But I think all of that is, that's just kind of smoke and mirror stuff. Like Bridget Carlton was 0 for 1 tonight, and she had 10 assists, and her team won. So I could care less about, what somebody's stats are and how they looked. And, we didn't win, and hopefully our players, as well, that's how we all want to think about it, right? That it's not about your individual performance. Hopefully you're just disgusted that we lost as a team, whether you play well or not. And, we want to try and change that feeling the next time we get a chance.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thanks.
All right, questions for Chelsea Gray. We'll start with Adam Grossbart, LA Daily News.
Chelsea, it looked like you guys had, something going there, up 11 early, and then Minnesota called that timeout, and they went on a 24-3 run. Like, what changed there in the second quarter?
I think we were picking them apart a little bit. We were moving the basketball. Defensively, they started just hunting the paint. And they were able to get in the lane and then kick out for threes. They were hunting the paint, and we didn't come and help. They would have easy finishes in the basket, and they got into a rhythm. And that's where the game kind of changed. And once they went on a run, we didn't really do anything to kind of combat that right after we called a timeout as well. So we'll learn from it.
John W. Davis, Winsider.
Hi, Chelsea. Beyond what you just said, what else do you want to take away from this loss and to be able to use it to go forward in the rest of the season?
I would say just basketball is a game of runs. So what are we doing after they have a run? Like, what are we doing to, have that switch in our head and be like, all right, that's enough. Enough is enough. Even if Fish calls a timeout, if now we're having our huddle, what are we doing in our minds on both ends of the floor to be able to stop that run? Not necessarily like offensively, okay, we need to score, but defensively, like enough getting in the paint. So I think we'll learn from that, seeing that on film, that once they get in the paint and they're able to pick us apart and we get into rotation, but after our second and third rotation in our box out, we keep on preaching, rebounding. So we'll take a look at film and get better there.
Chris Camello.
Hey, Chelsea. Just kind of piggybacking on that. Is it always tough? I mean, even though it ends a streak, do you take any solace knowing that, hey, we just won 9 in a row? This was the 3rd and 4 nights back to back. Obviously, you don't want to make any excuses, but what's just kind of like the mindset after even a tough loss? No, like the 2 weeks you guys just had.
I think sometimes in those games that we did win, we saw some of these mistakes that we had tonight, and we were just able to combat that because the shot went in and it switched gears, or like they missed the shot. And they were hitting shots. They were getting in the paint, kicking out the shooters. We were kind of chasing them a lot of the game, and we did that. We did that some of the time when we won those games. We were just able to pull it out. And offensively, they made us try to run our stuff. And they got back in transition. So we got to be more disciplined. But, hats off to them. They knocked down some shots and played well defensively.
All right, thank you, Chelsea.
Thank you.
All right, questions for Candace Parker. Adam Grossbart, LA Daily News.
Candace, you had an 11-point lead there in the second quarter, and Minnesota calls timeout and goes on a 24-3 run. What flipped?
I think that they were the aggressor from that point on. I think that they just, they played hard and they played well. And I guess we got to go back and figure it out what flipped. But at the same time, we're going to get back and get better from this.
Chris Camello.
Candace, what was working out there for Collier and Dantas? I mean, they seem to really, kind of be a definitely formidable 1-2 punch early on. What was working so well for them, you think?
Obviously, they put Collier at the 3 and, they put her at the 4. At the 3, obviously, she was cutting in and getting post-ups. And then they run, obviously, the middle pick and roll where they have Collier rolling down the lane and Dantas popping. So they shot lights out tonight, and, that was them knocking down shots and running good offense, but also defensively, I think definitely we can be better.
John W. Davis.
Hey, Candace, at some point in this game, do you feel like the team just stopped playing basketball in the most simple way you can play it, where you just focus on, simple things like defense, keeping people out the paint, boxing out, and rebounding?
Yeah.
Chris, do you have one more?
No, I'm good. I'm good. Thanks.
We'll go to Tukni New and LA Times.
Candace, Fish told us that there are sometimes wins kind of mask the sins that you've committed. Were there things that you kind of saw showing up in that winning streak that maybe got ignored a little bit, and now this loss kind of brings them up a little bit more as more urgency?
I think the common human reaction is to be really excited when you win and really down when you lose. There's games that you're going to go out there and you're going to play terrible and you're going to find a way to pull it out. And can you learn from what you did wrong in those previous games? And then there's games we've won 9 in a row. We played a great team tonight. They played hard. They played better than us. Do I think we need to overreact on what we need to do? And, no, I don't. But I do think that we need to come back, regroup, get ourselves some rest, get together and figure out how to win on what day is it, Wednesday? Because these games are coming fast, so you don't have time to have lulls. But do I think that the ship is broken? No, I don't. But at the same time, I think there's a lot of things that we need to get better at, and I think a lot of teams in the league are seeing that. But we can't do it with practice. It's got to be throughout games. So, yeah, I do think the wins mask what you're doing wrong, but I also think just got to next play like we did with the wins.
Thank you, Candace.
Thank you.